And remembering the previous lessons and demonstrations I've done, there's three important things we have to have. One, we have to have a solid chopping board, good one to work with. Two, we have to have a nice sharp knife. Remember that. We've got to have a nice sharp knife to cut things with. And thirdly, plenty of paper towels. You need paper towels to wipe things down because cooking gets a little bit messy sometimes. So remember that. So here we go. I'm going to start with the first dish, which is our cured vodka salmon. What we've got all list of all the ingredients here. So I'll just go through them here. We've got a little bit of mixed leaf salad here. Okay, this mixed leaf salad is all sorts of different salad leaves. Depending on what countries you come from, there are different sort of leaves you can use. We have basil. Here's the basil here. And a whole bunch. And this basil here is freshly picked. And it's the base of our pesto. We have some Parmesan cheese for our pesto. We have olive oil. We have some cream fresh. Our garnish we also have here some cherry tomatoes. Now what I've done also here is I've actually dried them overnight. And they've come up very small but very intense in flavour. Okay, we have some lemons. I have some star anise. Now what I'm going to do with that is put it in the cure. I'm going to grind it down, put it in the salmon cure. Okay, so we've got that. Garnish the dish, we've got some crostinis. And then as I said, vodka, you've got to have some good vodka in it. Any vodka you can do, we'll use it. Now to cure the salmon, when we cure salmon we have salt. Now I prefer to use salt flakes compared to rock salt. The flavour of the salt comes out a bit more. So here we've got some salt flakes. We've got some sugar. You can either use plain white caster sugar, but I've got one which is a refined brown sugar, not so much processed. Okay, and then the main part of the dish, which we're all waiting for, is a salmon fillet. So here we go. Here we've got a salmon fillet, wrapped it all up, went to the fish markets, we got it. Now a nice piece of fresh salmon is good. You need to get it boned, so you don't want any bones in this. Otherwise it's not good when you start eating it. So here we have unwrapped the salmon. Okay, we also leave the skin on. We don't take the skin off. Okay, so whole salmon fillet there, nicely cleaned. Now some of the things we need to do is clean down the salmon here. A little bit of this, you don't need that. Okay, so as you can see the join there, you just run along, make sure you take that off. Very little bit. Okay, now along here, okay, usually you have a pin bone in here. The fish supplier should be able to take the pin bone out for you. We're going to just trim it just across here. This doesn't mean you throw this out. This can be finely chopped up and diced up to something like a salmon tartare. Okay. So here we've got our salmon fillet nicely, and I'm only going to do today half of the salmon fillet. Okay, so that's the salmon fillet we use. Now we're going to actually cover that with vodka, salt, lemon, and let it marinate overnight. So first thing we do, okay, is we take some lemons. Just quickly slice your lemons. Okay, so you actually put them on the bottom and the salmon sits on top of that. Okay, so here we've got our lemons. Now before I put that down, I'm just going to mix my curing salt. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to make sure it's 2 parts salts to 1 part sugar. Okay, so this has all been previously weighed out. So 2 parts salt to 1 part sugar. You've got the recipe there, so that goes in there. Okay, on top of that, I mentioned we're going to put some star anise. So I've got some star anise here. and we drop our star anise in there, and we just give it a little bit of a cut, break down, like so. It smells beautiful, our star anise. A little bit of an anisey flavour. Okay, and as you can see, it's broken down. You just put that in there. Now what you do is you just mix all that up together. And that's your base for curing the salmon. We then take the salmon, put it down on the tray, and layer it. And then we take our piece of salmon here and sit on top. Now also you will note that the skin has actually had all the scales taken off it. Okay? So now it's sitting on this. The next part you want to do is get your vodka. Now, you only want to put a little bit of this on, so a little finger over, and just sprinkle it over the top. Okay? That's all you need. A couple of nips sprinkled over the top. And then you take your curing and you just cover it. Okay, just cover that and you let that sit now for 24 hours. So this is always made a day beforehand, but to have it cured, it has to come up and sit nicely. So I'm going to get this put in the back fridge, please, in there. Okay, so that's the first part of what we need to do. Next part of this is we're going to make our pesto. And as I said, our pesto has mainly four ingredients. You've got your olive oil. Use extra virgin olive oil for this because it's much better. Nicer flavour, okay, and you get the first cold pressed one. So here's some basil which we've picked, and all we need, we can use these little parts at the top, pull it along, just pull it all off. Okay, we can take that. Now if anybody has any questions, please ask Rashid and he'll actually pass them through, and I'll try and answer them while I'm demonstrating here. So we go and take this. So I think I'll just do that much there. So all that is our basil. Now Parmesan. Now this is our Parmesan cheese here again. Use real Parmesan from Italy. And as you can see, it got a skin on it. Excuse me. It's got skin on it, and that's hard. You don't want to put that in. So what you do is just shave some off. Okay. And we'll cut it up, and that'll go in the blender, and what we do is blend this all together. Okay? So these days they're fantastic blenders to do this. So we'll take some of the Parmesan, just make sure we don't pack it too tight or it's not going to blend. Okay, some more of that. Okay, I've also got some cloves of garlic in this basil as well, which I pre-did. Then we fill this up. Okay, again, this is nice extra virgin olive oil that we've got in there, and that's great to be used. So we put the blender on. Okay, this stage I'm not going to use any salt or pepper in there, because once you start blending it, the saltiness from the Parmesan cheese will come out. Can you blend that, please? Okay. So we take that away and we get that blended up. Okay, so here we have our cured salmon. Okay, now this here, if you see, it's actually gone a little bit hard, changed a little bit of colour. Okay, but that way, you know it's starting to cure. And curing is a form of cooking it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to slice it. Now when you slice, you never slice into your hand, you slice away from your hand. So we're going to do it on a slight angle. Okay, and you can see how the salmon's actually changed colour. Okay, and that's the curing process of what's happening. Okay, so here we go, blending it up, slicing it. And you slice it very thin. Okay, and this way it's not too hard to eat, not too difficult either to dress. So here's the salmon, nicely cured. Okay, now if I try a little bit, very nice. So there I've sliced some of the cured salmon, so you see that. Now here we've blended up our pesto. Nice rich green colour. Okay, and again, look at that. And the one thing with that, remember what I said, we have to season it at the end once we taste it. Okay, because you don't know how strong the saltiness in the Parmesan cheese is. I'm going to add a little bit more oil because I want to be slightly runny. And then we just get a spoon, taste it first. I can do with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Mix that in. Okay, and off we go. Here we've got a nice simple pesto. Very easy to make that. Okay, now we've got all the other ingredients. Now this is made just from toasted French stick. Vietnam, best French sticks in the world. Do it better than the French themselves. Okay, cherry tomatoes, as I said, for the salad. Mixed salad leaves can be from anywhere. So that's a whole dish, and the final part is the creme fraiche, which is a slightly sour tasting cream. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a very simple dish up here on how to do it. So you have your plate. So if anybody has any questions, Rashid, please pass them through while I'm doing this. Okay, so we take some pesto, a little bit on the plate, and then what we do, we just grab our little palette knife and around. Okay, simple like that. So that's a pesto there. And then to dish it up, we've got our salad. Thing with the salad is, got to make sure you season it. You just don't put leaves on and no flavouring. So again, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, okay, a little bit of oil. You don't need much at all. We're going to put some fresh cherry tomatoes in there. In that. Okay, we don't need to use all this in the salad on the plate for a dish, okay? And then we can add some of these little dried ones as well. Really intense flavour. So now what we do is we take that and our salmon, we just simply lay it down nicely on the dish. Okay? So here we go. Very simple things there. Now we take our salad. As I said, you don't need much. So I'm just going to put a very little bit of salad along here. Okay. We get some of the tomatoes out. Add some of the dried tomatoes as well. Put it along. Okay. And we finish it with just a couple crostinis on the side. Here's one of the dishes. This is one of the dishes which our students will learn to cook when they actually have a lesson in the first term. Okay, we're going to do a quick quenelle. Of cream fresh. Which finishes off the dish. Okay? So this is the first dish.